Welcome, welcome. Well, we will go ahead and go video live. Make a couple quick announcements here and hop into it. All right. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and hop into it. We have another board for another one shot coming up. Anyone who is out there, please give us a follow, give us a share, invite those you know to come join us today, especially if you're interested in building boards within Tailspire and the different possibilities there. I'll recap our last board just in the first few minutes, and then I will also start building the next one. Of course, what you do, what you say, it can impact, within limits, but it can definitely impact the one shot that is coming up. And every time it impacts what I'm doing here, it impacts the world that Disorderly Dice is ultimately building. So they do have a resounding effect that does take place. We appreciate your willingness to be here and be with us. So glad to see that you're here right now. Oh my goodness, I have a cough and burps all at the same time, so please excuse me for that. Just some announcements. We have now been able to get the bits and the cheers and the channel points available. We're working on that, but feel free to pop in there, see what is in there as far as options. One of them, just the fun one that I see going around, is hydrate. Now, if you give a channel points of 100 to hydrate me, I will actually have to go get water, but I will get water. And then there's just some other stuff that we are goofing around. But within there, you do have the ability to, again, impact the actual world that we're building within our channel points. Same thing applies if you were to sign up on our Patreon. Then you'll have that same opportunity there. So, just some different options for you about how you might want to do that. But you can click that link, check out our Patreon. There's a way where you can, build a PC and actually have that PC at other levels interact in the world that we are currently in. And become an actual part of that world. Same thing here with channel points. You can be part of the collaboration of the build of the different parts of this. So we definitely want to thank you and welcome you into that process. It's something that we want to do along with you. There we go. So let's go ahead and do a quick recap of the last one shot. We just ran this on Sunday. Now, Lord Ashes and I have been in contact, and we're going to start utilizing. We already utilized quite a few of his plugins. They are phenomenal. However, we're going to live play his plugins more so he can get that immediate feedback. It is a partnership that we are happy to be involved with. I am stoked because after months, literally months, of just putting off the broken plugins, right? Because I had the little icon in the upper left that kept saying, "Hey, there's a problem, but like the lights on our dashboard, a lot of us just tend to ignore them. So now he actually taught me, and you can find that on our YouTube channel. On how to troubleshoot that. And so now I can even I had it happen again because these, as he explained, the plugins can break with different updates or changes. So I was able to identify which one was causing it, removed it, and I feel good because I can do it now. I recognize what I'm reading. and it's all in that video. It was an amazing Tuesday that we spent with Lord Ashes to go over that. And so we will be incorporating more and more and more of his plugins and assets to bring them as part of the game. Some of these that are just part of Tailspire, right? We've gone over the atmosphere, the bookmarks. Let's go ahead and change the atmosphere here, brighten it up a little bit. We went over here. Over here, there's actually, before the game kicked off, I hid this whole area. That way it didn't become too much of a distraction during the game, and I didn't want to take the time to just delete it. I just hid it. Maybe at some point it'll expand out. There was the ladder that they had up here that they could go across here. Now, if Demon Goon is watching, or any of the players, they at one point, okay, so we can cut this view down, right, open it up by its layers. They ended up going into this cave, ended up circling around and coming back out. Well, at one point, they were right here, right? It's just right within this cave. They encountered these couple goblins here. They went in, circled around, and debating, well, what should we do? What should we do? It turns out that dwarves have this thing called stone licking, or something like that. I never knew this, and I asked them all to be dwarves, so they became essentially kind of a bunch of stone lickers. So they kind of get this tremor sense ability, I guess. And so they could tell that north on my screen, right? That north there was a lot of footsteps, whether that be 10 small humanoids or something with 10 feet. They could tell there's about 10 feet going on there. Well, they debated about cutting through here. Now, if they would have used stone shape to clear this out, I would have just gone into the build mode. It's nice because it's like this. Now, something else to note, that in the one-shot view, the zoom cameras are going to get all messed up. But let me show you what I did for this. Now, if you see the menus to the side and below, you can't see them as readily, right? Because of the way I cut in my screen. So you get to see the top portion here that pops up, but you don't see really as much on the sides. So that's just something I want to point out. Just some people have asked how I frame in my screen. That way the core, where the camera's focused, so to say, is what is being seen. So I would have turned on the build mode, cut. I would have probably left that one there. Clicked N, because N will give you this cutaway view. And now they would have walked right into that final area that they finally reached after traversing this entire area. They finally made their way around to this. And this staircase leads up into the broken down farmhouse. So they were literally right there. I'm just going to Control Z these back into place. So they were right there the entire time. That led them, that staircase, let's go ahead and lift this up, led them right into the warehouse, the farmhouse here. They went into the farmhouse and then they explored room by room. Now, they actually took a multi-step approach. Some stayed here and explored. Some tried to, or one did go up the steps in this area. One went actually up here, then realized there was nowhere to go, except she ended up going out along the roof. Didn't continue, but instead came down. Tried some creative tactics that way. One continued this way. They hit so this first floor, remember this was a whoopee cushion floor in the kitchen. This is the glue room with the black cats and ladders. This is the bouncy floor. Now, one of them was up on the floor here and got real creative, jumped down onto this bouncy floor as if it was a trampoline, right? And jumped, made the clearance into this final room here where the Goblin King has his pie, and then made it into here. Goblin King turned their weapons into funny slapstick type items, a sword becoming a rubber chicken, and so forth with the other weapons, right? And then eventually the window was broken out. I knew what was coming with this window, right? But they did not. Broke out the window thinking, you know what, I'll grab the pie, jump out. But it just goes into the water. Now it is the end of the world, but quite seriously, this is a coastal region. So it really would have still done just that. So then they're on the time crunch. They're making their way back out, re-encountering some of these issues. And then they just book it back because it's about I forget what I said, 10 or 15 minute walk or sprint. So they book it back. They get back here just in time for the pie eating contest. Go ahead and we adjust to this night setting because it was happening in pie eating. It was a pie tasting contest environment. And they interacted with the pies and the people and just had a good time. And then we rolled dice to see who won that pie tasting, whose pie won. So that is the recap of the board that we created and the different interactions with that board for that one shot. Now, December's coming up, and I thought about there's another one that we could make too. But Tom was saying the other day, you know, man, if we had like a Christmas themed one shot, that would be fun to do. So that is the goal today. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go back to our host screen so that you can see the menu options that we're using. And we're going to create a new board. What are things that would engage you? What are things that, hey, Keith, thank you for joining it. Appreciate it. Thank you. What are if we think a Christmas theme, right? And you can take that wherever you want. Snow, you know, one of the first things that come to my mind is the Claus movies. I wasn't a huge fan of like 2 and 3, but you know, the original is always best, right? So, but that's what I think, right? Where Santa, it becomes, you know, Tim Allen becomes Santa and so on and so forth. You got this issue, or even Elf. Really, sorry. I hope this doesn't lose all of you guys. Thank you, Keith. I so appreciate you doing that. Thank you. Thank you for that sub. Oh, I was going to say, I wasn't a huge fan of Elf. But again, that's another movie that comes to my mind when I think like Christmas-themed one-shots, right? Interaction with elves and snow and all that sorts of stuff. Let's see here. So, absolutely. Let's see. So, let's go ahead. Remember, there's a couple of resources that we can use, right? I know that they're probably it sounds like a little bit outdated, but we have Tales Tavern and Tales Bazaar. So let's go ahead and see what is in here, because there's actually a lot of stuff already made. So let's see what we got here. Here's just a snow. This looks probably just a tree, but some of these things can always be pulled in at later times. Let's see here. So let's try the other site. Let's go ahead and open up another one. Let's see what they have. If it's not Christmas, maybe it's snow. Maybe it's... There we go. There's that one again. Oh, here's a little bit of bigger one. That one, oh, here's even a bit bigger. Gotta love annoying ads. Here's one with lights. Here's some different objects. And you can always take parts of these, just like I did with the last one, right? If you watch some of those old sessions. The farmhouse was actually its own board, and then I just imported the board, cut the farmhouse, copy cut, and put it into the board that I have now. Let's see here. So here's a really white one. Old St. Nick's Workshop. The name is attracting. Night before winter miss, Santa's altar. There's a nice big one. Night before. Okay. Okay. I like the trees. Let's go with Old St. Nick's. Not the advertisement. Ugh. Might be enough to make me stop this. Alright. So we're going to copy. We're going to copy that. It's a bummer about all the ads on that one. I'm going to paste the code. And we're going to add it. This doesn't seem to be a valid board. It was a slab. Maybe that's why. Display code, slab. Let's go back. We might just abandon the site. Oh, bummer, because there's some good ones in here. There we go. Open in Tailspire. That's what I was looking for. And okay. What do you all think? Or Winterland type of one shot. I mean, do as like, what would it be? Like Snow Yetis, right? That comes to my mind. Unknown, let's go. We're here. We're not here. It's empty, people. It imported Unknown Realm. Oh, I wonder what that. Oh, that was me. So I opened a board, but I didn't need to open the board because it imports the board itself. Well, we're off to a great start with. Oh, there we go. All right. What do we got going on? I like the music. I really like what they did with the tree here. So all they did, all this is, this is cool. I like this here. And this is one of the really great things about building boards that I actually get kind of excited about because I get to see how other people put things together. And then it allows me to have that thinking, that idea as well. Alright, so I just had a little bit of a buffing issue right now. Alright. So, this is a tree, of course, right? More specifically, the trees. And I'm not sure how they got those candles to stick to the tree to become one object. Or if there's a tree like that. But then, they're just all together. So all those candles are illuminating. Now I'm curious. I'm going to dig into this tree a little bit because if I'm correct... Is this still... Oh, it's all just candles. I figured they might have put flames in there. That's a way to illuminate that space as well. So let's get all these trees back together. Alright. Now, of course, that volume, I don't know if it's loud for you guys. You're always welcome to let me know if any of the sound is a bit off for you guys. Let's go ahead and go over to the atmosphere. Yeah, right? I actually, now that this is why I like it, Keith, because I see that now, and I go, oh, how, yes, right? Just, even if I couldn't find the asset where the candles are part of the tree, and I had to manually add them, so be it, right? I would have stuck a bunch of flames on the inside and then candles on the outside. That way I didn't layer all the candles on the inside. You can't see them anyways. But this is a great way to illuminate that. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit. I'm going to turn down the other effects. I like the music though. It's got me in a good mood. Alright. I'll just apply that to the board right now. Now, just as a note, remember, let's say we wanted this to be daytime, right? And then we could just make an atmosphere block just like that. We get the settings, we can see it, what it actually looks like, and then boom, place that atmosphere block, and it's all set to go. All right. I'm actually going to bring it a little bit more in the dusk, though. Maybe that's dawn. Let's apply that to the board. I did not realize that there's... they put like a stone statue at the top as a hidden object. That's funny. Right, and so you can see, well, what is hidden? So there's a fire elemental over here. There's someone down there. There's not a whole... There's a reindeer. It looks like an elk in there. There's a whole spot up here. What is this? Right. Let's reveal. Alright. Reveal. I wonder why that's not revealing. Wonder if I am missing something. But here we got this and the reindeer, which are not actually reindeer. So what should I do to this board? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the one shot that I have so far for this Winter Wonderland Christmas themed elf something. Still working on it. And I welcome you to the process of building this one shot. Some of this map might go away. Some of it might stay. I might completely adopt a new one. Oh, there are ways to add in different colors to this tree, though. So let's go ahead and zoom. Or if you look at this here sidebar, see that? And you can add in some fog there. You can raise the height of that fog. Maybe you want that nice ground creeping feeling. Maybe you want it a little bit more transparent. So not that one, not those. Let's see here. Nope, nope. Oh, not echoes. Frostfall. Here we go. The Winter Light Miracle one shot. Frostfall at Emberkeep. So the name of this region that we're in our world of Artaloon, is Emberkeep. So I had mentioned that there's some other ways, right? So if you go in here, let's go ahead and close this, open this, and search fire. I often forget which one of these fire is actually in. But fire has a few different colors. So this is a standard fire color. That's what's causing this illumination. There's also this blue color, right? Whether you have them on the outside, probably not. And there is another way. So let's search green. Let's take fire off. Okay, now you see these crystals over here. So these are 3 ways, and depending on the illumination that you want. I'm gonna turn that. I think it might just be in my headset, but I'm going to turn that down just a little bit more. Now, if you take these, though, right, hold control and then push it in. So when I made Fall of Red Dawn and I created this big, elaborate dungeon with for a lich, there were some areas of that were thinned between the veil was thinned, right? So there was an access point to the for her it was the Nine Hells, and spirits were passing through. Right? So I gave it kind of this green and blue essence. Blue I used constantly throughout the campaign as a undead or necromancy kind of feel, right? So if you keep that going, you can see the lines occurring that are that blue color, almost like a white coloring. Let's go ahead and get rid of the flame. Now if we take this one, you can see the glow that gives off. So again, if we just shove that in, and I'm just clicking, click. And now you see that there's this green glow at the bottom, right? So there's ways to incorporate items that glow. And if we Control Z this a ton because I added a lot of them. Okay, and then we should see, there we go, and gone and gone. So we're back to where we started. Okay, so back to the one shot. Here we go. So it's for levels 8 through 10, by the way. It's high in frozen spires. Northern Ardaloon stands Emberkeep, a fortress village that guards the Winterlight Flame, a living ember of joy passed down through centuries. Each Winterlight festival, lanterns are lit from its fire to drive back the longest night. This year, however, the bells are silent and the ember flickers. A storm of forgetfulness, the hollow winter descends, feeding on lost hope. The heroes arrive, the festival falters. The heroes arrive as the festival falters. They must defend Emberkeep, rekindle the winter light flame, and remind the world that kindness and laughter are the biggest magic of all. Which, ironically, is funny because very likely at level 8, we're not talking like a comical slapstick like the Pie King Caper was, or the Pie Caper. Why does that title always trip me up? The Goblin Pie Caper. So it's not going to be slapstick. It's actually more combat and puzzle driven, especially at these levels, right? Levels 8 to 10. There's a lot more that takes place. So the idea that kindness and laughter is the strongest magical of all, and we're probably fighting something extremely strong, or just a lot of really weak things, right? And just fodder. And so we're looking at that. Any questions or thoughts as we go through this? Again, if you're like, hey, Rory, let's check out another board, or what about some of the minis that you have, or just whatever you want, let's go ahead and explore as we dive into the one-shot. All right. So, on that note, I will do just that. What minis do you have? Now, I do have this connected to an asset, I think it is, that brings in some community minis. And so there's a lot of options in here, right? Let's just go ahead and have ourselves a purple worm. Lots of different animals, statues. Got this guy, right? Got a nice dinosaur in there, because you gotta have dinosaurs in D&D. Dragons. You know, at level 8 to 10, maybe there's some kind of dragon that's being encountered. Probably not an ancient one, but, you know, there's a lot of options. Like, what is that final boss, right? Whether that's be a puzzle, an encounter, a fight. Now, in my one shots, I am building in pacing tables in the beginning, and that way it helps the DM track. Okay, well, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. I have this much time left. I'm also exploring literal real life timers. Yes, each session is 3 or 4 hours, right? And so you have this natural pressure too, but where the in-game time is the same as real life. Oftentimes, rounds are 6 seconds per round, right? And it takes 5 rounds to get through a fight, and that's 45 minutes to an hour of your time. And so it adds a little bit of a different dynamic in that way, and it's been interesting. Let's see. So what do I have in here? The Spirit of Hollow Winter is quite literally the title that I have here, right? The Spirit of Hollow Winter, right here. Which is just ironic because let's go ahead. Oops, right here. Spirit of Hollow Winter. All right. So then let's go ahead and I just covered up my face. Let's go ahead back over to this. Solstice Spirit, right? And you can rename minis, right? Just like they did all these minis down here. You can rename them, right? I'm not sure why they're not becoming visible for me though. But you could rename it. But that is rather interesting in that facet. Well, let's bring that one shot back up. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, so the sky tears open in ribbon of red-green light. Snow falls. Also, that just completely brought Futurama to my mind. I don't know if any of you have seen that show or the episode of Robot Santa. That's completely what that brought to my mind just now. CR10 for the Spirit of Hollow Winter is a CR10. Huge elemental chaotic neutral turned hostile by despair. AC 16, 160 feet of speed, 30 feet, 100 HP, 160, speed 30, and hover 20. Attacks, Cold Slam, 8. All right, all in here. Let's go this way. Some of you read faster than I do. Aura of apathy, emotion shift. Now, all of these are subject to change, right? Because this one, as you can tell, is a homebrew creature, and maybe I just adopted a current one in different things. DC checks that are on that, and the build out of that. When we dive deeper into it, we're looking at what are some of the steps that go along. Like, how do we build this board out to meet some of those benchmarks, right? And I don't have it fully built out. There are some main sections, right? The Snowstorm Siege. I'm sorry, before that, the Fading of Winterlight. So now you enter in, you have your character, and you're beginning to, maybe you're a native to this area, and you know this is abnormal. Maybe you're not, but you've come here for the festival. The Winter Warden's Doubt, right? And so just like, again, when you think of those other story arcs, sometimes I try to avoid tropes, and sometimes by avoiding them, I actually make it more difficult. Because we can reskin and make things different enough that they don't feel exactly the same. There is a bit of, man, it just feels exactly the same. Looks like Whoville, where's the mountaintop for the Grumpy Org? Oh, you see, and that's what I mean. So you just took that story arc, that trope, and I actually like it, right? Where's the mountaintop? Maybe it's not a mountaintop. Maybe it's a tower top. And he's looking down in his grumpy way. Tower would work great, yeah. And so I like that. I like that, and like I said, your input, it has an impact on the game. So I definitely like that. That could go a couple different ways already. So perhaps, for example, the Winter Warden's Doubt. That actually also reminds me of Scrooge, right? So you can see that this is a constant theme. Why? Because this time of the year is about happiness and joy and celebration, and so what's the opposite of that, right? The Spirit of Hollow Winter is after that. It's the next scene or the next beat point, and then the Festival Rekindled. Maybe, right? For me, the ending is never solid. What about you guys? When you have an ending in whether it's a one shot or a game that you're playing in, do you like that ending to be variable? Meaning, maybe it's not one. Maybe this place. Hey, Matt, welcome. Thank you for joining, hopping in. When you run, and Matt, you're amazing at the storytelling you do. So right now we are generating ideas for this one shot, that the board that I'm building for this other one shot now. The Frostfall at Ember Keep, the Winterlight Miracle one shot, and it plays with those same tropes of despair and hopelessness and the joy and cheerfulness of winter or Christmas or the holiday seasons or those kind of things. And so I like having an ending where it could not turn out well, right? When I ran the campaign, it was absolutely possible that the Lich killed them all. Keith, you had mentioned, you said ogre. Also, who doesn't want a little Charmander in their game? All right, so let's just hop over here. I think there's an orc. Right, there's orcs in here. I don't think I have any ogres. Half orc. Okay, let's hop back into the community. Let's go ahead and jump. I forget where I was, but let's jump forward here. Let's see what we got. We got, who doesn't want to... Night Before Christmas, Nightmare Before Christmas, Stargate, it's in here. Like, there's all kinds of things, right? We got the Lich here. Let's hop into I didn't see anything, but oh, there we go. I mean, it's kind of right. We kind of got him right there. There we go. So, if you notice my screen, you notice in the upper left of that screen the blinking red icon for a second. Seems to have gone away, or my screen froze. That tries to load and catch up. In a one shot, I think it's ideal to put the players in a situation where they can leave everything on the table. Yes. On the table for either a big payoff or a dire fail. Either way, the game will be memorable for all the players. I absolutely agree, because, like you said, you don't necessarily do that. Man, what is going on with my screen here? Something is not happy in my Tailspire. I'm gonna have to close that down. You don't get to do that in your campaign, right? You want to keep your character alive. You want to run it for sessions after sessions, levels after levels, because on like a video game, you're not just gonna respawn. So I like that, Matt. I like the idea that, you know what? It's do or die. take it to the limits, right? I can't even. There we go. Just a quick reboot here. This actually hasn't happened before, so I'm not too sure. It could be my internet. I'm pretty sure that I'm lagging right now. Let's close that. End task. Bam. But I very much agree with that. So whatever this CR10, 11, whatever it might be, encounter that they're going to have in here, I want it to feel like heavy, I guess. And that way, when they win, I think this goes to your point, that when they win, it's not only memorable because they're able to do things maybe they wouldn't have done before, taking risks and chances that they probably wouldn't in a group campaign. But, man, if they overcome it, if they beat the challenge, like, it's memorable that way too. Hey, I got my mouse back. Almost back. That screen is locked out. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. No. No, I think that's because Okay, so end task. There we go. That one should do it. There we go. Might have been all that. We'll find out. Alright, so we will open it back up. Alright. I'm definitely going to have... I like there's part of it that said it was the snowstorm that was going to come. I forget how I had wrote that. But, if you think about snowmen, elves, and abominable snowmen, maybe just that instead of snowmen themselves. So let's dive into some of these minis. Let's go into the one-shots. And honestly, sometimes I goof around on a board for an hour or so, just trying different things. So let's get into it again. Let's open that board back up. Now that is gone, so not too sure what caused that. All right, so let's load. We got our central area in here, right? The tree's gonna be there. See what else comes, but I like what I'm seeing back here. So, in a sense that we got this ogre, Keith, you had mentioned the ogre. What can we do with the ogre? We got this guy. I'm just gonna make him fly for a bit. Oh, I lost my mouse again. Well, I think I found the issue then. Seems to be that ogre. Well, he's back. It's right there. I'm sorry, everyone. We gotta do some real life troubleshooting right now. Something seems to be breaking. We will close Tailspire and task. So this is where that video or that session a couple weeks ago, I think it was 2 Tuesdays ago with Lord Ashes, really comes in, because I can take the script, the coding, bring that over to Lord Ashes with what, like what did I see, what did I expect, all those kind of things. Bring that to him, and then he can help actually troubleshoot something like this, which might be a little bit beyond me. Let's try this one more time. I am not touching that ogre. Open up. I can also just load it in the vanilla, which is actually just what I'm going to do, because I don't feel like it being constantly disrupted. All right. So there might be a few things that aren't available to me because I went into the vanilla mode instead of the modded mode. But let's go ahead and hop back into it. Most things will still be available. Let the game load. There we go. All right. Oh, that ogre is there. I am super tempted to grab him, but I'm not going to. It's not the ogre. There we go. There we go. Actually, I think I figured out what it was. Okay, so let's check out what we got. What do we got for snow? Bam. Right there. We could have a few of these guys. Now again, of course, right, check and make sure that it's all the right levels, not too strong, but we do got these level 8 to 10s. So we got some minis in here now. Just going over some of the stuff in here, right? GM tools. Something we didn't explore last time was that sizing. What if we want these to be, what is the biggest? Times 14 by 14, like, that's too big even for my screen. Right, so you can get these, you can get them to morph. Let's see, GM tools, let's bring you down a little bit, don't you say? 2x2. Right, so decent sized creatures. All right. This might be our, oh my goodness, see them next to each other, it's even more. All right. Who has seen, have any of you seen the old, I don't know if it was Claymation. Oh, that volume went back up. But the old Claymation of, like, it's Rudolph and a boy and an abominable snowman and a Santa-like narrator, and this guy is nearly pinnacle. Like, let's see, there's the abominable and there's this guy. Totally brought me back to my childhood. All right, what else do we got in here? I was under snow. Of course, you can bring in any kind of hero forge. What we got under S? Anything for snow? Looks like these are, having a little bit of a hard time. Let's see. Starry Gate is in here. Skeletons in here. Skeletons. Old school D&D cartoon right there. There's a Thri-Kreen tick. If you guys haven't seen that cartoon, that's an old 90s. It could be, right, a white dragon. That would actually be fun because, to Matt's point, you don't just always get to fight these things, right? And so there's that option. There's a different version. Right, so there's another one. Oh, here's another one. That's a tiny little guy. There's another one. Slightly different model. More abominables, right? So here's this one. Here is this one. Slightly different look. Let's go ahead and get rid of a couple of these. Bam. Bam. There we go. A little baby guy. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't he cute? Isn't he cute? All right. Maybe the unicorn has something to do with something. I don't know. It doesn't really click at the moment. Sheeps, carpets. No, maybe there's a key NPC in here. A couple of them right there. Oh, I like their new asset there for a treasure chest. I'm going to go ahead and take another look at Tales Tavern to see what else do we have for snow. There's a hill with a big slab. This one's pretty cool, actually. Open and tail spire. Show you this one. Okay. Again, just want to say thank you, everyone, for taking the time. I know this is just going over a board and just brainstorming some ideas. A lot of other things you could be doing right now. So thank you for taking the time, whether you're lurking, whether you are actively watching. I just appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time to do that. And Roger, Keith, I did not see until just now that you subbed. So maybe I did. No, that was you. Yeah, I think. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just saw it pop up, and I was like, oh man, I wanted to make sure I thanked you for that. So, thank you. All right, so let's get into the other board. Let's see what happened. Unknown village of what was it named? Nope. That was the... See, so this is the original barn house that I took. Built the roof back in, did some other stuff, but I actually took this, and that's how I finished my last one-shot. And so, looking at this board, let's this here one, I'm going to go ahead and delete that in a second. We're going to go to mountains. Because there might be different things here that we can utilize. Let this look. Alright. Cool. don't even have the fog on. This board just completely did not load. Oh, there we go. They have some heavy fog in here. They have this frozen setting on. Fog modifier right there. So you can see the settings they use. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down for you guys. So you can see they had some of those, and that's what, for me, loading into this board was hiding it. Lots of mountains, right? The whole thing is a mountain. Let's apply that so I don't lose that setting. Right now, coming over here, it looks like clearly if we cut this mountain, that we're going to see some more. Interesting. There's definitely stuff in there. Let's go ahead and cut it this way instead of this way. There's actually not nothing in it. It's actually a bit surprising. Just a couple rooms. No hidden monsters. No hidden minis. So it's very much open for you to do what you want to this board. I mean, any of them really, but... See, they've just created these boxes within it. You can connect those two. There's not as much to play with here. You could try to transport the other one into this board. That would work also. You know, or even if you cleared out this whole patch, right? I do like the simplicity of the other board. Even though it's a little bit small maybe for a dragon. Man, I'm tempted to grab that ogre again. I actually really like the idea. Keith, if you're still there, what about this? Right? What about if we break the trope a little? Man, I hope I don't break my game right now. Alright. What if the ogre isn't the bad one? Oh my goodness. They made this roof out of individual railing. That staircase railing is what that is. And they took it, and if you hold down the Alt button, you see that? You can then angle it. They angled all of these. Look at that. Those are all angled railings. So I could leave it that way and make it look kind of broken down, right? But my point is not to make this overly complicated for myself. To get him in there. Because I can't just cut it. If you just cut it, thinking that will let you in, it won't. Right, so if I take this off and I try to put him in there, he can't, because technically that part of the roof is still there. Let's see. So let's go back to build mode. Close that to get that. At least these are planks, so a little bit easier to duplicate back to what. Oh, he's still too big. Oh man. Could also take this here, right, and delete the, or cut it is what I'm doing. Copy cut, right? Take that. Now right click, take my ogre. Now I should be able to these can't be seen from the outside. It's cool that they put that level of detail into it. He still can't fit in there. Undo. So what I was going to ask you, Keith, is what about if he was actually a good guy? Oh, I can't redo that. All right. Oh, there we go. I had to put it back in build mode. All right. So I'm going to take a big chunk out of this. Because why not? If I'm going to copy and paste it back in, why am I making my life hard for me? All right. Now we'll grab him. Now the downside is, well, no, because I can make him a unique character like we learned in the last one shot. Make him a unique character. Right click, GM tools, make unique. Open up over, oops, not that button. Click this one here. And now we have this unique character right here. So I can click him and place him elsewhere. Right? And there he is. Or I click him and place him back up here. And there he is. That way I don't have to keep fighting with it. Now, remember, Control V, here we go. Lower this back. Bring it up. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? Of course not. Maybe we wanted to extend out a little bit. What the hell was sitting in there before? Maybe something like that. Kind of interesting. I'm not sure how it was in there. But this can come out. This can come out. That music still it seems loud in my ears. Can't be too loud for you guys though. There we go. Let's go ahead and light him. Maybe there's some part that he plays in. Let's see, what's a good one? You got these guys going on. A couple brawlers that come into the village. They're pretty gnarly. I like him with his wings open. It's kind of narrowing down the options now, right? I like that guy too. A little bit smaller. So get the brothers rolling through town. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull these over here. I like the way these minis look. I just don't want to mess with them right now. Bam, look at that. A couple of them bringing them in on his chain. On their chain, maybe they got a leash for him. Let's see. Despair as they come through. This ogre who almost makes me think of Wreck-It Ralph, right? He's kind of this outcast, or Shrek, this outcast that potentially is part of the end of the story, right? The hero of the story, but not quite in this case. You get the adventurers. I like this board. There's a lot you can do with this board too. Like we saw when we first opened it. For example, just turning it to the space guy. What you're seeing out there is the fog. Or it could be like you could say it's the Aurora Borealis, right? At least in Minnesota, that bug is usually white. Sometimes we get some really awesome colors. Alright, that's interesting. Forget how I did this last time. Took me a hot minute to figure this out. Sorry guys, just dealing with a spam account. Ban, yes. Spam. Sorry guys, just want to get this out of there so you don't have to deal with it. There we go. Lock this user. There we go. Alright, that should be good now. Yeah, so you could say that's the Aurora Borealis. If you change that night sky to something else, let's go ahead and hide that there. What's the other sky? Space, darkness, right? Might be a good one. And that fog, that's exposure. Exposure is a great way to brighten the area, even in a darkness. You know, like how in movies it's blue, or it's even daylight when they're saying it's nighttime. Oh, so that's how I do that. Then I go here. Perfect. Makes sense now. Perfect. All right. Another one would be swamp. Doesn't really fit. Regular sky. And then you just, if you want it to be dark, you can see that there. That I like. The sun. I use that a lot in my last campaign. I thought that was a really fun way because it was the harvest moon at the time of the Lich's pinnacle transformation. That's the default sky, right? There you go. You got the moon. Now space has it too. So now you get stars with space, right? You just have to be down. Lift yourself up. There you go. Check that out. So there's just a lot that can be done in this board, in this platform. I really enjoy Tailspire. Been using it quite a while. Not sponsored or anything, but it's a good platform You can see tonight, yeah, it comes with his bugs. Uh, Everything does, though. Except the minis behind me. They do not come with bugs. They're somewhat resistant to bugs. So, let's see. Let's hop in here. Synopsis, quick summary. Captain Serene Hulmer is one of the NPCs in here. Another one is Mert Copperpot. Mert Copperpot. Val, the Winter Warden. Once joyful keeper of the flame, now withdrawn and spectacle. Secretly bound by a rune of hollow winter from a past failure. Right, and this is where I'm saying, with those, whether they be with channel points or with the Patreon account, you can then say, I like that one. I want to help build that NPC out, and we'll flesh it out, right? And we'll collaborate on the development of these NPCs, and you have a real part in the development of this bigger world of Ardaluon. All right, back to the script. Skill challenge. I do like skill challenges. I like collaborative skill challenges, individual ones. I like in the last one shot with the Goblin Pie Caper that they were able to choose skills that they wanted, right? Which is typically probably going to be something they're proficient in. And it usually is different because you have different PCs. And some used, whether it be arcane or insight or animal handling to make his frog go forward and give direction and just the creativeness that they're able to bring in that aspect. So I do like including skill challenges, whether collaborative or individual. The Frozen Chair, statues of carolers come to life, singing discordant notes that drain courage. The Shattered Bell, the Spirit of Hollow Winter. Now, maybe it's not a dragon. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Now, there's this guy. He's a terror, for sure. I forget what he's called. The Nightfall? Not Nightfall. I forget what that guy's called. Red dragons, of course. Beholders. I could make it look like it's hailing. Even if you... Alright, so take this. I already got this up. Let's make it fly. Okay. Let's back this up. Let's turn the atmosphere. Actually, let's see how I'm saying you can bring the exposure up and then it helps brighten that screen. And with that mini flying, alright, so there's that one. That's cool. Let's see. I don't know if there's gestures right there. That is definitely there we go. All yours. Scrolls, spiders. Not really seeing something of that. There's a cute little goblin. Should have used him on Sunday. There's this guy. Oh, he doesn't light up very well. Let's let's bring that exposure. Exposure right around 1. It's typically pretty good. And again, it depends. There's a lot of settings there, but let's see. There's this. Just a head. Not a whole lot in that regard, at least in here. Again, Charmander can always use another Charmander. Drist. The eggs I used for Centauri eggs in the last campaign. Could have some guards. More guards. Vampire. Is that who I think it is? No, it's not. It's a cool mini, though. I actually really like that mini. That is well made. Whoever made that. They made some really good ones. Jack Skeleton. Kobolds. Kobold on a dog. This completely reminds me of... Nope, not anymore. I know it's a Basilisk, but the image here makes me think of a Pokemon. Let's see. Oh, we could throw a red wizard into it, right? Because that would be depressing. And then, of course, here are my minis. Astronauts, Cyberpunk, different giants. Could be a snow giant. Or cloud. I mean, it could be a cloud giant too, but you make it what you want. Right? So maybe instead I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of this one. There we go. Maybe it's a frost giant that comes in. Right? Maybe it's a wormling and it's not a full-fledged like adult dragon. Maybe it's a wormling because guess what we can do? GM tools, size. Bring it down in size. Let's take it down a notch. Right? So boom, boom, size. Let's go down another size. Right? So now it's suddenly not an adult dragon. It's a wormling. Right, this would be enough to... Now, it's probably by default too much. But I like a couple things said tonight. the ogre in the tower. Whether he is... Man, that piece has to come out. All right. Oh. Boom, boom, boom. I like the idea of this looking a little tattered. Like, it's not well kept. Right? But I want him to also be able to be seen. There he is. There we go, right? So we got the ogre in the tower. We have a frost giant and a young dragon. And 2 abominable snowmen. Abominable snowmen. Yetis? Snow yetis? Yetis. So, epic, big battle from Matt. And an ogre in the mountains, in the tower. And what does that become? I don't know. I do want to try some different music, though. Oh, and this is Freezing Winds, and this is... Alright. What's this? No. Elf Home. Doesn't that just sound peaceful? That's the one that it was. Yeah, we'll go with that. Alright. Back to the build. So one of the plugins that we're going to be testing for Ashes is called Room View. So we'll get to see what that does a little bit. Let's see where I might be able to show you a little bit of it now. Let's see, Lord Ashes. There we go. Tailspire Room View plugin.
This is a demonstration of the updated Room View plugin. If you're not familiar with the Room View plugin, it's a plugin that allows you to hide and reveal hide volumes automatically based on the position of the player minis. So in this particular case, we have a room here. It's got 2 player minis and 1 non-player mini. We can see that in this room, we see all the content of the room. We see lights. We see the bad guys. Now, if we move one of the player minis to a different room, it's going to immediately show us that room, again, showing the content, any non-player minis in that room, and any lights. And when we move back out, there are 2 different settings. One setting, basically it's a setting called Rehide, and if your Rehide is on, it means once you move out of a room, that room is rehidden. If you turn that off, any room that you've already explored will remain revealed. Now we can verify here that if I take the other player and go to the room, again it is displayed. If I go to, see, I can move my keyboard here. If I move into this room, we can see that it gets displayed. But if the GM moves, let's say, this enemy into another room, it disappears because the room is not revealed. Only the player minis reveal rooms. The GM can still move between rooms. As a GM, you can see that that it did actually move there, but the players won't see it because the non-player minis don't reveal rooms. So that way, the GM can have all his foes and minions prepared in each room, and it's not going to cause the room to.
All right, so I am looking forward to testing that out. I really like the idea that you can create those layers. Now in this setting, if it's all an open area type of situation, that wouldn't. Maybe it would be. I mean, hide volumes might work better if you're just trying to say this concealed by buildings, but in other areas where there's not such an open space, I think that will actually be a very awesome. I mean, I in my. Do I have access? I don't know that I have access on this board. Well, here, let's go to an old one. Long ago when I first started running one-shots, I tried to build this one up in here. Now with the room view plugin that he's talking about, then it actually might be a lot better in here, right? And so because then as they traverse, I could build this so that only certain parts reveal at a time. For example, this area, only as they walk into here or here or here, right, then each part becomes visible and goes away, right? I like the idea that it goes out of the view. At times, I can also like the idea of it staying, like, hey, they've seen this area, right? Anyone played games like Zelda or whatever, you know, the map stays lit up after that. Go ahead and like that. So then by that mini, then just entering into that area, that becomes visible. You got a couple of doors with knockers on them. Becomes visible. So I really am looking forward to that one. This year one shot is called The Eye of the Beholder. Actually, kind of a game out there. I created it when I first met a good group of individuals that I previously played with on the last stream, on the last channel, and she absolutely adored Beholders. So in the Eye of the Beholder, her and a handful of other people, I got them together. We played this as a one-shot. So I ran a lot of them during like early COVID, and this is one of them, right? So they come in here. If we just do a top-down view, they enter into the dungeon and they're right here. Now they can go straight forward, and there's of course something to lure them in there, right? Usually also a good giveaway that there's a trap. But they go that way, or they can pull the switch. I like putting things in that, you know, it could do something or nothing, and sometimes that suspense of it actually does nothing. Now you can burn them out, of course, with that, right? But in this case, I think it actually deactivated the traps, or it activated them, and then they could go this way. It gave them choice to be able to go around into this Kobold kitchen. A couple layers down here. That's a Kobold kitchen. There's literally the cooking. They are the servants of a beholder at the end of all of this. They go in here and see a couple more kobolds down this way. There is a goblin there. Down here, there's another kobold. But here, they have the realization, and some groups that ran this, they would go around it and realize, oh, this is a one area. Some would split the party right there, run into the kobolds. It wasn't a hard challenge there. The equivalently hard to face the kobolds as it was to go through the traps. They work their way down, right? So that's just a quick introduction into the dungeon. And then, trying to double check this. All right. They could go here. They see, oh, it's just the same here. Now, when I first built this, I built it on Roll20, and they have line of sight, fog of war, so you could only see literally what your mini would see. The rest of it would be blacked out. So if Ashes could get that built, where right we have the restricted vision here for unique characters. Right, so remember, if we make this a unique character, then we restrict that vision. GM 30 feet. Pretty sure I made that a unique character. Make not unique. Oh, there we go. I don't know why that's not working. But then you can only see so much around it, right? When that's working appropriately. So that'd be really cool. But now the hide room kind of does that. Okay, so they work in here, they go through here, there's water and a couple of crabs or something. I don't know. Usually there's something in there to attack them. They could work that way. Sometimes they'd get lost in here. They'd work their way through this way. There'd be a pile of skeletons that they could encounter. Again, just small. They were level 5 for this one shot. They work their way this way, and they could work around and up here. Ultimately into this room. Now, if they came this way, one of the Kickstarters that I took part in and helped fund, there was a that just came above. So if I remember right, I'm not sure if I did. Yep, I am. Okay, so it looks like a pot of gold. You would think it's a pot of gold, but you can morph it then into. So in the Kickstarter, they had a card called a withholder. So it like hoard things basically, right? So this was one of 2 mid-level encounters. So here was a much simpler lower level. Then if they fought the withholder, then there wouldn't be an encounter over here. If they fought the encounter over here, the withholder doesn't happen. So that way, you're not going to be able to do it all if you're trying to keep it within a 4-hour session. And then finally, ultimately, the encounter with the beholder, as you can see, is right here. And some of you might recognize what particular beholder that is. It's a very iconic beholder. And so in this room, then, in a way that I helped work encounters, or the way that I tried to work encounters, is that I already knew what ray was going to shoot in what order. It allowed me, if I wanted to change it up in the moment, I could. But having the character sheets ahead of time, I could give them that challenge that LDR was talking about, right? Giving them the challenge so that they actually feel challenged. If you keep trying to put the elf to sleep, it's just not going to, right? They're immune or they're resistant to it. And so you know, there's a good, when you're going to plan, at least planning that way, some traps that would be in the floor, um, and then ultimately treasures at the end, especially because I didn't see myself running a lot of one shots after that one. So at the end, like, whatever, like, have this, have that, and you know, it got me at some point, because then the one shots continued. You can see here, so this is the actual name. Ignore all the other stuff around here, but Shutabar, Queen Shutabar, was the name of that beholder. Not the beholder. This one, this iconic beholder, is much different, but in the one shot, right? And of course, you can then fly it. And I liked them flying because they just look like they're moving. So I'm definitely looking forward. If I can get that room plugin installed and working, I could definitely see myself running this one shot on a Tuesday or a Sunday, and running this one because it was a fun one. There, if you go to, is it Spotify? Go to Spotify and look up 2DMs. You can actually find the recording of this one shot. Skylar, my son, used to play before he went off onto his real life adventures, and he was one of the first ones. Him, John, Vivi, Josh, they ran through this, and it was a good time. So I could see that plugin being a lot of fun there. Now I'm curious, and we have the opportunity, so I'm going to do it. I'll go ahead and make GM Tools, make unique. I'm going to check my list over here. There, we got it. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to our board. Back to reality. Let's see. Not that one. That's going to go away. That's not that one. This one. Alright, so I don't think this is going to work, but we'll see. I am in the same profile. Sure enough, there we go. Check that out. Now, I don't know if that's going to take it away from my other board. I don't know, actually. But what we get in doing that is we get a list of unique minis off to the side here, as well as any quick, like you want to right click and drag it down here. Right, so you have this hotbar down at the bottom. And then you have your uniques. Your uniques are different because they have abilities attached to them, or features, such as the limited view. I'm really curious why that's not working. I use this extensively on Sunday. That's hide reveal, GM tools, range of sight. Even if we call that 30, it's not calling it out. GM tools, make unique. So I'm not too sure why that's not working. But here we go. And you can see it was flying in the other board. And it's flying here too. Now, it could be, I like this, it could be that they're on their way here. And so this is just board 2 or board 3 of this one shot. Hopefully, none of you are getting bored. But, right, so this could be the final board, right? Because this is where they're going to face the giant, or the giant and the dragon, or the, right? And likewise, This giant doesn't have to be this big, right? These Yetis, let's go ahead and drop them down in size. Let's cut them down a little bit more, don't you know? GM tools, size. Let's cut them down. I mean, they're still big, right? So here's a human or an elf. So we're talking like, I don't know, 5-6 feet tall, right? This here one next to him, 7-8 feet tall, right? Then this dragon. If we're talking about a young adult dragon, that might be appropriate. I mean, it's taller on all four. Now this giant. I mean, they're giant, right? But you know, and you think of this human next to it, up to the kneecap. So let's call that 6 feet. 6, 12, 18, 24 feet in statute. It's taller than the dragon, whose wing it is absolutely demolishing. Right, and so let's say this was a party of five people, level 10. They're gonna have some skills at that level, and so this might not be such a bad setup, and honestly one that would bring some. That's funny, I did not realize that was the same mini there. Let's see, so we got 1, 2, 3. Whichever one's bound to be a wizard, it just seems to happen. Favorite wizard I ever played was Gibble, who was an illusionist wizard. I'm going to stick you over here. Let's go ahead and stick you over here. Right, and now imagine, here's your game. Your heroes. Oops, not that one. That one's not the hero. Or is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this one has a yellow base for some reason, so let's go GM tools, base color, none. There we go. Perhaps exploring that use of the fog. Apparently it's not high enough for this area. And so maybe there's no fog until the dragon arrives, right? And it's a white dragon. So now everything is obscured or disadvantaged on that roll. Now you could really crank this up, but I guess that works. It's not so bad that way. It's a little bit hard, it seems like, to see from your guys' view. That's why I caution away from it personally. Now, even with them illuminated, it actually kind of makes it worse in my opinion. To where using that, suspended disbelief, there's clearly some fog here. I mean, I could pick it up like this again and then just kind of, but it looks the same as just lowering it. Yeah, that's a little bit easier to see. Right, and so when you're out here, yeah, I could still see them, and it's clearly something there. For you guys, it's a bit harder, but you can see that you see all the people around the tree, and it is a disadvantaged view, or obstructed view. right? So that dragon rolls in, and the fog rolls in with it. Terror and despair alike. So explore around with that. We have our ogre in the tower. I wonder if there's any like tinsel. I'll keep breaking this roof a little bit. I wonder if there's anything like. I mean, clearly this is railings. Oops. These are railings for steps, and they're made into a roof. So I'm wondering what would be a way to make tinsel or Christmas lights. I don't know that Christmas lights can be made in here. I don't think there's very many options for color. Candles, we saw that on the Christmas tree. I like how this is beginning to look more decrepit, right? And I'm not taking out a ton of them. I mean, I'm taking out a good chunk, but... Now, how do we go about... And if I do the fire thing... now, if I want to get rid of this, right-click, hold it, and just drag off. And now it's not in my hotbar anymore. Community content. So there's other items in here. They just link them just like you would with Hero Forge. And they get linked in. So they're very much a Ghostbusters looking one right there. I'm sure plenty of these Halo. I'm sure plenty of these pull from other genres that I'm... Hey, there's a bear. That bugbear absolutely reminds me of Planet of the Apes. 100% makes me think of Planet of the Apes. Just recently, my wife and I went through... Oh, I like that mini. We watched every single from 1968 or 69, 67 to present day. Every Planet of the Apes movie. And let me tell you what. There's a particular order to watch them, and it's like Star Wars, where it's not the oldest ones first. So if you're planning to watch Planet of the Apes, do look up the order. It does somewhat matter. Somewhat. I'm sure you're plenty capable of putting it together, but yeah. Turns out there's a weird order to them. Okay, come on. Oh, so once you click them in here, so I'm going to take this white dragon because that's what we're considering over here. I do like this Shadowfrost dragon. That actually might play in really well with kind of the idea of the Shadowfell and this Doom type of feel. That's I don't know, maybe a bit much for this one shot. That last creature there. Some of these more demonic looking ones, maybe not so much. I honestly naturally have a disposition away from those kind of things than like the more demonic looking ones. Oh, that is a sweet looking dragon. A bunch of Frodo. Lord of the Rings stuff there. What else do we got in here? Matrix, Trinity, Matrix Agent. It's interesting how some look very plasticky. Morpheus. Actually, not sure what those ones look like. All right. So once you link them here, they're going to be in one of two spots. And I'll check out where they're... What was that? Oh, that's a gnarly looking black dragon. Look at that beast. Oofta. So there's just a lot. Definitely just brought me back to Full Metal Alchemist with that. Star Wars right there. Some spaceships. Helicopters. There's just a ton. Alright, you want this guy in there. It's a... Oh, Hydra. That makes more sense. Medusa. A griffin. House on the tree. Okay. So quite a few options. And I don't even know where I'm at in this list. Like, it's just a giant list. Let's go ahead and go back here. Now they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna be in one of two spots, either Community or Hero Forge. I highly doubt the Hero Forge area, because we got them from the Community. And so in here, maybe the one is under B, because I think we selected a Black Dragon. So you can see there was one back there. There's these ones, but they're not the one, because the one that I clicked on was Breathing Fire. Look at this. That is just an awesome looking Black Dragon. Oh, that's an awesome mini. The other one had to do with the Shadowfell. Shadow something. So let's hop over to the S and see if we see it over here. It's an interesting one. It's not it, but that looks like a pseudo dragon when I take it out. So the other one might have been a good option also. Let's go ahead real quick. We're going to wrap up and then we will raid one of, hopefully, let's see, there's a couple people we could raid into. See, there's Art of Mike Disney, and then there's also Kayla Janelle that we could raid into as well. We'll do that in just a few minutes. So if you would hang with me, let's give them some support. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. As we look at this, I just want to see if we can find that dragon. I'd like you to be able to see that mini. I'm really impressed with this Black Dragon. Let me bring down the fog on this. And then let's also bring up the daylight. Oh, I need to actually get a regular sky in here. Look at this. Look at that mini. Look at that mini. Alright, let's keep looking real quick for this let me know, and I'll post a picture of this also in Discord. So remember, follow us, join our Discord, check out our social media platforms. I don't even know where to drop this guy. Massive. Like, look at that thing. Where is this other? It's a blue, gold. It's a black, blue, Basilisk, blacks, blue, black, blue, black. There's that black. Blue. I mean, blue would be fitting too in color scheme, I suppose, but it is lightning, electrical versus. That's a plant, right? That's a plant. Ice. I mean, it's not an ice dragon. It could be, but it's not. White. Now this list isn't as big as the other one. I thought I clicked it. You know that it's just a little further, and I feel like it's not going to be there. Jack Skeleton. Probably has some different file name than what it was called. And thus, in a Full Metal Alchemist, by the way, is in here as well. There's another one. Stargate. That's not it. No. There is that. It's not this one. No, that's like a bronze or a silver. Here's a silver dragon. Tiamat. Well, it looks like I'm going to go back to the community. Oops. Not there. Over here. And see if I can find it. And then in just a couple minutes, what are we looking at? Yeah, just in a couple minutes, I'm going to give this a quick look. If I can't find it, I'll find it offline. And then I will go ahead and post those pictures like I was saying. And leave it a little bit up to that Discord, right? You guys let us know what would be fun to see in that encounter. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it very easily, quick enough. So let me go ahead and get the raid ready. We'll raid into Jay, or not Jay. Jay's not on at the moment. You can also head over to YouTube for Loot Die Repeat. Check them out. Here is their information. Give them a look, a follow. Check them out on YouTube. Subscribe. Get the notifications. Let me get that raid going. Unfortunately, I can't raid into them. Otherwise, I would do that. Here's that dragon. Yeah, I have it linked. Shadowfrost Drake. Oh, that's the one with the little wings. It just looks giant here. Alright. What's this one? Oh, it's right there. It is giant. I don't know if I'm thrilled by that one. Might be the lighting for the time being. I don't know. I really like that black one. Alright. So, let's go ahead and give Killa Janelle a raid. So again, if you would just hang with me a little bit more, let's give her some support. I really appreciate, again, everyone joining me today. Just the support that we've had over the month or so since the rebranding. Really appreciate you guys. Check us out, Disorderly Dice. whether that be Discord, social media, or here every other Sunday and Tuesday. We are also joining in some collaborative efforts with some other content creators, some other channels that will be coming out in social media as well as Discord. How you can help support an organization that is helping the needs of many people around us. So stay tuned, stay warm in this upcoming season, and as always, stay disorderly. As always, I always forget that I have to click raid and then wait a little bit of time before we actually are able to raid into the channel. So, stay disorderly. Have a wonderful day.
They just need to look
The
at
demon, the
Yeah,
demon that is capitalism restricts creativity. We focus
Yeah,
on mics and cameras and lights and schedules and rules, and we lose the one thing that started this all. The joy of sharing a story. The dreaming allows us to alleviate all that and still hold true. Just join me. Here I am. Everything and nothing. We can rebuild. We can consume these individual amalgamations of thought and create one binding